Welcome to episode 123 of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I am Aaron Breitman, coming to you on Monday, July 31st. Wanted to cover two kind of main topics in this episode. First off, August, going to be a very busy month with Rutgers Athletics. The offseason really wasn't much of an offseason, in part due to basketball recruiting, the changes just with the way the nature of the portal and NIL this offseason was a transformative offseason. I actually wrote on Saturday on the Scarlet Faithful talking about the potential changes in the recruiting calendar that coaches are proposing. Some interesting stuff there. Check it out. But I can't believe we're here. It's August. The offseason is over. And want to talk about August, and then also want to just take a rare turn to talk about the Scarlet Faithful. So first, August, training camp football starts Thursday, August 3rd. Reasons for optimism, plenty of question marks. Excited that Gavin Wimsatt was named starter, just not only for his ceiling, but also for the stability it brings to the offense and the program, eliminating that kind of unnecessary question throughout camp, have everyone moving forward, having time to develop everyone on the same page, strategically, all of that. It's a great decision by Greg Schiano to move forward. I do think Evan Simon's going to play a role this year. I think he's going to be important at some point. It's rare you go through the whole season with just one quarterback. He's got to be ready. How they manage him and keep him ready is going to be, I think, honestly, a very important part of the season, because at some point he's going to be called on. But Gavin Wimsatt's development is obviously huge. Sam Brown's health is huge. I think that, he can bring balance and can make everyone better in terms of what he can offer. Kirk Shiraka, how he's going to run the offense, how the wide receivers going to develop, how much of a focal point of the tight ends, defensive line, can they really be 8 to 10 deep this year? I think they can. Linebacker, I'm most excited about, just in terms of having Mo Toure, Tyreen Powell, and Deion Jennings, obviously starters last year. But you have Mo Toure back. You have Moses Walker, the former 4-star. Will that allow the defense to have different looks? Will they play more than two linebackers at once? How will that impact the secondary? There's questions at safety. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to figure out. Obviously, the hope and the goal is 6-6 in a bowl game. September is a favorable schedule. So we'll talk plenty about football in the coming month throughout training camp. Excited to do so. Rutgers men's and women's basketball about to head overseas. Women's basketball, August 7th to 17th, is in Croatia and Greece. Men's basketball going to Senegal and Portugal, August 8th to 19th. So I'll have lots of coverage there in terms of the exhibitions going on, and just, we'll look at meaningless box scores in August, which, hey, is fun and not completely meaningless, but just the fact that they're going to be getting runs in game action, rotations, all that. Rutgers, I expect men's basketball to fill out the roster by the time they leave, which is next week. So we should have some answers. Still waiting on 2 more spots. So we should have answers there. We think we have a good idea of what those answers are going to be. But wait and see still. Women's basketball, they have some new faces, high expectations for them, I think, in terms of improving this year. Not high expectations in the sense of the postseason, but I think it's clear that this program's headed in the right direction under Coquise Washington. And then also in August, it's fall. It's fall on the way. All the fall Olympic sports are undergoing training camp pretty soon. I'm going to have representatives from every program on the podcast, men's soccer, women's soccer, field hockey, volleyball, all getting underway and all start either mid to late August in terms of their seasons. So that's exciting. Men's and women's soccer, high expectations. I think women's soccer, both programs have a lot of key contributors, double-digit contributors from last season. Women's soccer set the bar for Rutgers Athletics in terms of successful programs. I think they can really rebound. They had some tough injuries last year. I think they can make a deep run once again and compete for a Big Ten title. Men's soccer, I think it's hugely important to be consistent and to go back to the NCAA tournament, remain one of the top Big Ten teams, and not have a step back this year. And they have a lot of talent back. So I'm really excited about that team. Field hockey, really good mix. Going to have Coach Civico on the podcast soon. Big Ten is brutal in terms of how good of a conference it is. They just went overseas in July. So excited to see if they can, they had some big wins last year, even though they just missed the NCAA tournament. So excited to cover them again. And then volleyball, can they take another step forward? So a lot to cover in August, a lot to look forward to from a Rutgers fan perspective in terms of what's coming down the pike. And I think that, this year as a whole, the athletic department, and this kind of goes into the second topic, which is the Scarlet Faithful turning 1 this past weekend. It's hard to believe that I launched this site a year ago with Aunt Wright, my partner, and you may know of when I covered On the Banks since 2015, and that's how I, started covering Rutgers Athletics. I've been a fan for 4 decades since I was a kid, and it's been amazing to when I started covering Rutgers Athletics to where they are now. Last year was interesting in terms of, Rutgers not having the same success as the year before. The year before was the most successful, at least modern times, year for Rutgers Athletics. So what is this year going to bring? I think it's a huge, huge year for Rutgers Athletics and for many, many programs. And I'm optimistic, right? And that's, some people look at me as I'm the optimistic fan. Others look at me as kind of the level realistic fan. However you look at me, I appreciate everyone's support over the years. And in building the Scarlet Faithful, I've really been able to make it my own and grow and just try different things. And I'm still learning and I'm still trying to get better. Even with this podcast, now it's a daily podcast. I have my new microphone for the first time. I got a lot of complaints about I need a microphone. I have a microphone now. I have the high def camera. I'm working on a wallpaper to improve. Always looking to improve. Other things coming with the Scarlet Faithful, I'm going to be adding some collaborators, people that I've worked with in the past, open to certain additions where I want to grow the site. I want to grow the content. I want to grow the reach and add different perspectives, all within, though, of the general philosophy, right, that we're Rutgers fans and we all have different contexts. We all have different experiences, but we're all hoping and working towards the same thing. And there's a lot of smart people out there. There's a lot of unique perspectives. There's a lot of great content. There's a lot of great sites out there that cover Rutgers Athletics. And I'm honored to be part of that in whatever capacity people think that I fit that. And I take a responsibility as a content creator and having a platform. I take that very seriously. And with the Scarlet Faithful, I've really been able to shape my voice, and I'm always looking to continue to fine-tune things. So this is my plea for feedback. Any feedback at all, you can email me. I have my email, my Twitter, social media. It's on all my articles. Obviously on YouTube, you know how to comment to me. Apple and Spotify, you can comment as well. But my goal is always to provide the best content as possible, but being me, right? I'm not trying to be a traditional beat reporter. I'm not trying to be the best. Honestly, I'm not trying to be the best. I know certain sites and certain people out there say they're the best. That's not my goal. My goal is to cover Rutgers Athletics the only way I know how, and that's based on my own experiences through my own life, through being a 5 and 6 year old going to Rutgers games to now being a 46-year-old covering Rutgers Athletics for almost a decade, living through a lot of low points as a Rutgers fan, and now having some real hope and optimism for multiple programs. Other things with the Scarlet Faithful, aside from adding collaborators, we're going to have plenty more guests in the fall. You know, the daily podcast, who knows? I mean, it's probably going to be at least once a day, possibly more, just in terms of game reactions, but also guests. Rutgers related through the Rutgers Athletics department, Rutgers related guests, either former athletes, other fans, other contributors, collaborators, other beat writers, non-Rutgers guests that are related to Rutgers competitions or just relevancy. Really trying to add as much depth to the content as possible. I've always had guests, but doing it daily, it's hard to have guests all the time. And I really wanted to kind of just put my nose to the grindstone the last 2 months doing a daily podcast in the summer months is hard, but I've learned a lot. And honestly, I come up with things on the fly, and I just try to be passionate about it, and also hopefully offer some type of value in my perspective. So, but we're going to have lots of guests coming up. We're going to have more collaborators. I have forums now, similar to message boards, but not the same kind of intent. The biggest intent for the forum is going to be for game threads, for football, basketball, potentially some other sports as well, where fans can comment to each other throughout the game. And that's all set. So we're going to have that starting for the first football season. In addition, I have a shop coming. We're going to have merchandise, both for Scarlet Faithful, for Rutgers related, New Jersey related. Merchandise at the Scarlet Faithful coffee mugs ready to go. They look pretty sharp, but that will be part of the site as well, just in terms of growing the brand. So in terms of other things I'm looking to do is, and it's hard for me to talk about myself. I don't normally do this, and I don't normally promote the site in this way, but it is the 1 year anniversary, and I kind of like to give a state of the Scarlet Faithful, so to speak. There's been plenty of challenges along the way. I've learned a ton. If you've ever had any navigation issues or anything like that, I apologize. We've really worked out a lot of kinks through the year, and I think we're in a really good spot. And now we're really going to start to grow even more than we already have in this short year. And that also speaks to us being a free site, right? There's not many free Rutgers sites. I don't think there's one. There might be one other Rutgers free site, but most have some kind of subscription models, and we're going to stay free. Listen, I'm a fan, and I want to reach as many fans. I want to be part of the Rutgers fan community, just like everybody else. Obviously, I have my own platform. Obviously, I have my own site. Obviously, I cover Rutgers Athletics, but I look at myself as a fan just like you, and I want to be on that same level. So I'm not looking to charge anyone. But we do have advertising, right? We are going to have advertising on the site. I know that sometimes people get annoyed by it. And it's better than having to pay for the site is how I look at it. And if there are any local advertisers out there, if there's anyone that wants to sponsor the podcast, sponsor things, I'd love to have conversations, because it will only help me provide better content, better coverage now and in the future. So that's my kind of state of the Scarlet Faithful. I'm proud of what I've done with the Scarlet Faithful last year. I'm excited about the future. And I just want to, like I said, I want to keep covering Rutgers through the Scarlet Faithful the only way I know how. I do this podcast the only way I know how. I'm trying to get better in a professional sense, sound better, speak better, make more clearer points, write better, everything. But I really, really, really appreciate everyone's support. Anyone who's read anything, anyone who's watched or listened to this podcast at any point, and if you're doing so right now, thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege, and I take it very seriously. And I'm not going to say I'm going to keep chopping or pounding nails. I'm just going to keep grinding. That's my thing. And not very original, by the way. But, the grind is real. And although there might be, a little bit of a pause in coverage just because my life and my career might be preventing me from getting something out at the moment. But just know I'm always working. I'm always planning. I'm always working on something. And I'm looking to do it in a unique way because it's my own perspective. So thank you for all your support. And I'm really excited about the year to come. I'm excited about August for Rutgers Athletics. And I really do believe that for many programs, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. Football's got a shot at a bowl. I think women's and men's soccer is going to be good. Field hockey is going to get better. Volleyball, can they make that leap? Winter, men's basketball, still filling out the roster. I still feel good. I'm excited to see them play differently from an offensive perspective. Women's basketball is going to be better. I think wrestling is going to be better than last season with the transfer additions. Gymnastics gets better and better every year. Men's and women's lacrosse, can they rebound after just missing the NCAA tournament last season? Can they reload? Can they maintain themselves as two of the best programs in the sport? Can baseball get over the hump at NCAA tournament? I wrote about the revamped pitching staff this weekend. And then you have track and field, which is on the rise. Yes, there's other programs as well that deserve attention. I try to bring attention to them. But I'm excited for all those programs. And I hope you are too. And I hope you're excited to follow all of the coverage of those programs here at the Scarlet Faithful.